Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D here. Hey, if you're an NAIA basketball fan, and obviously you are if you're listening to this show, I want to tell you some of the things Cascade Hoops Talk offers. Obviously, you can get the podcast anywhere podcasts are available, Cascade Hoops Talk. Go to Twitter at Cascade Hoop Talk. Also, go to Facebook at Cascade Hoops Talk. You can also get all the interviews on YouTube at Cascade Hoops Talk. And the YouTube platform, please subscribe. Having that platform and the shows over there gives us some more flexibility down the road if there's other things we'd like to do. Also, and this is very important, go to CascadeHoopsTalk.com, CascadeHoopsTalk.com. And once the season starts, every morning you can open that up and you can get all the game stories and NAIA basketball news from the night before. It's tabbed by conference and top 25. So if you're just interested in, say, your conference and the top 25, click those tabs, see who won, what the stories were, and that's available to you every day. Also, there's a place on the web page where you can sign up for the newsletter, and you don't have to sign in. It comes directly to your email. So here at Cascade Hoops Talk, we're here to be your NAIA men's basketball news source. And please go to our Twitter and let me know if there's anything else you would like to see or something different or something you'd like to see improved. I love hearing from you. Thanks. I hope you enjoy today's show. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Join us on Twitter. Join us on Facebook. Also join us on YouTube, all at Cascade Hoops Talk. Today we have Coach Danny Neville, Jamestown Jimmie's head coach. He enters his 6th year as the head coach at University of Jamestown. Last season, toward the end of the season, he won his 100th game. Can't wait to talk to him about that. Makes him the fastest coach to triple digits in Jamestown history. He did it in only 5 seasons. Under Coach Neville's leadership, the Jimmies have went 102 and 55 for a 65% winning percentage. His teams are known for their toughness, their up-tempo style of play, unselfish, and throughout the last 5 seasons, the Jimmies have earned Northstar regular season conference championships, GPAC tournament championship, national tournament bid. They produced 18 all-conference selections, 4 All-Americans, and 8 NAIA scholar athletes. Welcome, Coach Neville. Happy to have you on the show.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So this... First thing I want to bring up is I want to congratulate you on your 100th win last season. I know that last season had some challenges. We'll talk about that in a moment. But getting that 100th win over in the Corn Palace, that had to be something special.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool when you get a milestone like that. But, I mean, for me, it's, playing at the Corn Palace, everybody knows how that is. So for me, it was just good to get a win over there. Coach Wilbur does a great job, and our guys are really up for it. And it was a good win. Our guys played hard, and I've been lucky to have some great players. So when you get to that milestone, you think back to all the players that have played for you, and for me, those guys make me look good.
Well, definitely, yeah. And you've got a few this year, and we're going to talk about those. Hey, before we go any further, I want everybody to understand this is like the 3rd time Danny and I have had this conversation. We did a kind of a pre-call, and then we did an interview, and I'm not a technical guy, but something happened, and the interview got messed up, so we're redoing it. So just if the conversation sounds odd, it's because it's the 3rd time we've had it. Danny, let's talk a little bit about last season. Probably a sore subject, but boy, you started out gangbusters. I think you were rated as high as 16th in the nation. There was a lot of hope there in Jamestown. And then you just had injury after injury and illnesses. And talk about some of those challenges from last season.
Yeah, we had a lot of returners from a really good team the previous year in 2018-19. Obviously we lost 2 really, really good players, but for us, we were excited about the year, and we had some injuries, we had some illnesses, but we never used it as a crutch or an excuse. We just kept on trucking on, and I thought we had a good foundation laid, and we were playing well, and then you look at the last 5 games, we lost 5 in a row to end the season, and whenever you do that in our league, the GPAC, I mean, you're going to go from wherever you were to kind of the bottom part, and it was a competitive year last year. We had some really, really good teams, so we lost some close games there at the end, but we never dwelled on the injuries and the sicknesses, and that's just part of it. You look past to the previous year, and we didn't have any, so that's just how it works sometimes, and we just didn't let it affect us, and we tried to move on from it and keep going, but the depth kind of really killed us, and like I said, we ended that year 5 in a row that we lost, and and then we ended up losing at the Corn Palace as well in the first round.
Well, even with all that being said, you still had an 18-win season, 9-11 in the GPAC. But I want to talk just for a moment about some of the graduates you had, some of the that really made a contribution, put a mark on Jamestown Jimmie basketball. You got to really start with Isaiah Dobson. I mean, what a special player. I mean, he put it all on the line every night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Isaiah is just one of those guys that you love him when he's on your team, but when he's on the other team, you're not going to like him very well. And he's just a guy that he gave everything to us. He dealt with injuries throughout his career, but he's one of those guys that he's going to play. And sometimes you got to just sit him down and say, hey man, can you go or not? Because he played with a broken foot his junior year in 2018-19, and then had surgery on it that summer, and it still didn't feel 100% to him last year, and he just played through it. And he's just one of those guys, man. He's really, really tough, and he's kind of that old school point guard, first guy on the floor, taking charges, played with a lot of passion, and then you think about the other 2 guys, Terrell Alford and Jack Frazier. I mean, Jack was, a really good defender for us, and he had a good 2 years for us. And Terrell Alford, I mean, he's one guy that can just really put it in the hole, and we're gonna really miss his scoring ability and his shooting, but those guys did a lot for us. And Isaiah was a 4-year guy, and then the other 2 were 2-year guys, but they did a lot for us in their careers. And but we've got some younger guys now and some transfers as well. So, we're kind of looking forward to this year.
Yeah, I thought that, as I interviewed Terrell at the end of the season. I thought his story was interesting. He went to high school in Florida. High school basketball wasn't a big thing. He was having a hard time getting recruited. He went up to the Plains there. He kind of made his mark. He went to a couple different community colleges, and boy, he really blossomed when he got to Jamestown. He ended up last season shooting 43% from 3. It was a great story.
That previous year, 18-19, he was a guy that came off the bench, and it was really good for us because he would come off the bench sometimes and score 30. So whenever you can have a guy like that, it's just unbelievable. And then the next year he moved into a different role, and he really, really scored it. And he spent a lot of time in the gym to perfect his craft, and a really, really good scorer. And we're gonna have some guys step up, but it's always tough when you lose a guy like that. So
you mentioned this season things are looking well so far. You're 3-0. Hey, that you had was close to a 20-point win over Valley City, and Valley City went over to Sioux Falls this weekend and swept who was it, Mount Marty and Dakota Wesleyan. Did you see that?
Yeah, they played well. They're doing a little press, 2-1 press, and for us, we were lucky. It was their first game. They've played well since playing us, but they got a lot of new guys that are fitting into different spots and different roles, and they looked really good this weekend, and they're giving teams fits with that press, and they're longer and athletic, and they got they got 2 guys in NC and Schramm that are returners and really good players, and once those guys start fulfilling their roles and just getting comfortable they're going to be a tough team.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they opened a couple eyes. I mean, they're not going to sneak up on anybody after this weekend. I can tell you that. But it made, the reason I bring it up to you, Danny, is it kind of made that win you had at home over them pop up to me just a little bit more. So let's talk about this year's Jimmie basketball team. You went out and you got a transfer. He's been benched with a little bit of COVID stuff, I understand, but Alante Pickens, talk about where you found him and what kind of player he is.
Yeah, we just did some searching. We felt like we needed a point guard. Obviously with Frazier and Dobson graduating, we knew, we're going to have some younger guards, and we had Mark Chose, who was a returner. He was a backup last year, and then Will Cordes, who was a freshman. We just felt like we needed a little bit more experience at the guard spot, and so we went searching a little bit, and it took us a while. We signed him a week before school started, but he came out here on a visit, and it just felt right. He's just a good kid and a really good basketball player, and we thought it was a great fit, and so did he, and it's been really good. Unfortunately he's been out for a little bit with some COVID stuff, but he's back and he'll play on Wednesday, so we're really excited about that.
And then Coach Neville, you have a core of seniors, well experienced seniors that have been through the league several times. Jack Talley, Brock Schramm, Brady Birch, really blue-collar guys, go out, get the job done. You can count on it every night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those three guys are all 4-year guys. I mean, Jack and Brady have played for 4 years and Brock for 3. I mean, he was on the team, but he got very little playing time as a freshman, but he kind of blossomed up, and, those guys are super special. And, just Jack Talley, he can do a lot of things. He's really, really developed his outside shot. And then again, with his frame, he does a lot of things. I mean, he can post, we use him in a variety of different situations. And then obviously having 2 5-men that are, experienced, and 2 seniors always helps. I mean, they just, it's the other thing too about those 2 guys is they're different. And so Brady Birch is the guy, the hustle guy, he's going to give you everything he's got all the time, and he's going to take charges. He's going to make winning plays, and he's just a really, really good leader for us. And then, Brock Schramm is a shot blocker, a guy that, does a little more in the post area. He is 6'8" and athletic and big. And so it's nice to have 2 senior bigs, but it's also nice to have they're just different, and they present different things for you. And, whoever's playing better, you can leave them in. So, we're pretty lucky to have those 2, and obviously Jack Talley as well. And, some of our younger guys are really stepping up as well.
Yeah, Danny, you and I talked about this before, but at least in my opinion, Brock Schramm and Brady Birch, they're kind of unsung heroes. I think they're hinge pins because you've got pieces around them. But if you can get that good of production in the middle, just blue-collar guys that are going to come out and take care of business every night, it really makes the rest of your offense go.
Oh, for sure. And again, we're scoring a lot of points in the paint, and, we're out rebounding teams by a high margin right now. And, it's a lot of it's because of them. And again, Brock Schramm, I mean, we really missed him last year. I think he sat out the last 8 games of the year, and now he's healthy, and he looks really good, and he looks like he's having fun. So, I'm really excited about those guys.
And then the junior Devin Proska, he's really come on this season. He's averaging 10 and 8. He's rebounding the heck out of the ball.
Yeah, it's funny. I sat him down, and he's like, he asked me how can I get some more minutes, and how can I get some minutes that are crucial. And I just basically told him, I said, defend and rebound. And he does a lot of things, and he's a big time confident guy, and he's got a lot of confidence right now, and he's just playing super well. And he's rebounding the heck out of the ball, and he's doing a great job defending. And So he's been playing. He's been playing 20 minutes plus, and he's a redshirt guy. He's grown a ton. He's 6'5". I think when he was a senior in high school, he was about 6'1". So he's had a huge growth spurt, and just developing his body, and that redshirt year really developed him. And it's awesome to see that him take a big step this year.
And then I'm sure everybody in the Dakotas right now is saying, why isn't he asking about Mason Walters? When you look at your underclass, when you start with Mason Walters, all he's doing right now is averaging 29 and 13. He looks to me, we've talked about this several times, Coach Neville, but he looks to me like he's grown. He's wider in the shoulders. Looks like he's hit the weight room. I think that's going to be important to him because he plays so many minutes. I think he got fatigued a little bit last season. He really looks good. Just talk about Mason Walters.
Yeah, he felt like this last year that there were some games where he kind of got pushed around a little bit. He just felt like he needed to spend a lot more time in the weight room, and he did that this year. Even during quarantine, he was lifting on his own at home, doing push-ups, doing everything he could to maintain the strength that he developed. And he spent a lot of time in the gym as well, developing his jump shot. Obviously, we haven't seen that yet, but he's just living on the block right now. But he's a guy that just has a really, really good neck for the ball. He's such a good player. I mean, we're really lucky to have him, and he's another guy that when we signed him his junior summer, he was 6'6", and he grew another inch this year, so he's sitting at 6'9" right now, and he's about 215. So he's definitely developing, and he's a stud for us. He's one of those guys too. Like, he's really confident in himself, but he's a really, really good team player. He's developed as a leader as well. So I mean, I can't say enough about Mason.
Coach Neville, you've been around the game your entire life. Have you ever coached or played with anybody that had a nose for the basketball the way he does?
I can't think of anybody, to be honest. He's always there.
He's always standing in the right spot, because you'll watch him, and then all of a sudden you look at the stat sheet and go, "Oh crap, he's got 13 rebounds." And they aren't. Go ahead, Danny.
He was kidding around the other day, because a lot of other guys are head hunting the ball, and you watching film, and some guys are stealing some rebounds from him, and he was just kidding around. He's like, Coach, how come those guys are stealing my rebounds? So, but he's always in that spot. He's always, that's one of his, God-gifted abilities, is just having a knack for that ball.
So, Coach, we talked about, you've got a great core group of experienced seniors, and that is so important to, have been to Dort a couple of times, right? If you played the big games in the Corn Palace. And then you've got Mason Walters, you've got Alante, who's a real steal on the transfer. But you went out and you had a pretty good recruiting year as well. Can you talk about that?
Handed a couple freshmen. Cole Woodford's a freshman, but he actually redshirted, so he's not part of that class from last year. But the rest of the guys, we put a lot of time into and passion too, to be honest, into that regional. North Dakota, Minnesota, we've tried to really put our hands on them, and I feel like we did a really good job. About 98% of our roster is from North Dakota or Minnesota, and we feel like we stole a couple kids from that class, and even you look down our JV program as well, we feel like we have a really good team, and we've got some really good kids, and I think the biggest thing is, a lot of these kids are great kids and good academically, and they just really, really fit our culture.
So it's very early on. You're 3 games in. What things are you most, I don't know if excited is the right word, but surprised by? What are you happiest about what you're seeing right now?
I think one thing is just rebounding. And then defense as well. I mean, last year we struggled at that, and that was one thing that was one thing that we really put an emphasis on this summer and preseason. And, our guys have really bought into it. And I feel like we've taken a huge step defensively. And then rebounding, I mean, we've kind of owned the glass these 3 games. And it's just been good to see. And we're big in size, but we got guys that can move. We got guys that are athletic enough to sit down and guard, even some guards at times. And I feel like those 2 things are good. And the last thing would be just our team chemistry. I feel like our guys have really bought into, just having that team camaraderie and hanging out together and enjoying each other and just making it fun. But also, when we get into practice, we get into film, we get in those serious situations, the guys can turn it on as well and be competitive with each other, but not take it off the floor. So I feel like we've really developed those relationships that, we were kind of missing a little bit last year. And we've taken a huge step with that as well.
Coach, when people watch Jamestown basketball, what can they expect to see? So what I'm looking for is, on the offensive end and defensive end, what kind of sets do you like to run? Do you run a motion? Do you play zone, man up? Do you run? Just talk about what you're trying to accomplish at each end of the court.
Yeah, we've always spent a lot of time on transition. I think that's one thing. It definitely fits our league as well. We have a lot of teams that like to run and like to get out and run. We always feel like when the game is up tempo, we always feel confident. We have that sense of confidence that, the game's probably going to lean towards us.
Talk a little about at the defensive end. Are you a man-to-man guy, matchup zone? What are you trying to do there?
We're predominantly man-to-man, just like any other coach. Like you think about zone and you have a zone and you throw it out there and the team hits 2 threes and you get out of it. So it's always, you're always in situations like that. And I think it's really good to switch things up and, maybe zone on a baseline out of bounds or zone on a last second possession. I think it's really good to do things like that. It's just, you spend so much time on man-to-man that, you're confident with that. But on like the flip side too, like how often do other teams, practice their zone offense or practice zone out plays? And so when you think of things like that, you definitely fish around with zone things, but we're predominantly man-to-man, and we want to protect the basket. That's why we like having Brock Schramm.
Yeah.
We have some longer guys, so we're trying to have that length to our advantage this year and make people take tough shots. And again, I think one big thing that we're doing a really good job of is limiting other teams to one shot. And I think we've done a good job with that. And that that's another thing with our length and our size as well. Is it's tough for other teams to get offensive rebounds just because of our length and our size and how well certain guys have been rebounding for us.
Yeah, it really helps you in the transition too when you can get that ball and get it out and go. Catch them a little bit flat-footed.
For sure.
Coach, you're 3-0. You've got a huge home game on November 11th. Morningside is coming to town. Can you talk about that game a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Sykes always has those guys ready. He does a really, really good job with his program and his players, and defensively they're just so solid. I mean, they switch a lot of things. They just have a lot of guys that can really guard, and it's credit to him and what he does, and they really work it through the post. It's been a kind of a post heavy team, and they have a lot of size, and Trey Brown is returning, and he's just a guy that's a really, really, really big and really skilled, and he's a really, really good player. And obviously Zach Emig coming back, we absolutely love Zach.
Yep.
We think he's a stud, and they have some different players. They have some new guys, so they're they look like they're just adjusting to the players they have. They lost a huge senior class, and but they're always going to be tough. I mean, you look at the last 2 years, and our games have kind of turned into rivalry games, and our guys really get up for Morningside, and it's just I think it's going to be a really good game, and we're going to be ready. We're definitely we definitely respect their program and respect their players, and we just think it's going to be a really competitive game.
So I want everybody to know that Jamestown, along with a lot of schools in the NAIA, have excellent video. All you have to do is either just go to their website, click on the little video camera to bring it up, or if you have a Roku or some device like that, you can get the NAIA app. You can pull it up. Super easy to watch these games, and Jamestown, along with a ton of NAIA schools, do an excellent job with this. Coach, that Coach Sykes is going to bring them. They're going to be ready. They're going to play disciplined, and you're going to have to work for everything you get.
Oh, for sure. And the other thing is they're not going to make a whole lot of mistakes.
Exactly.
So you're not gonna beat them on that end either. So they're just so solid, and they've always been that way, and it's going to be tough, but I think our guys are ready.
Coach, before we wrap up, I want to say I know there's a ton of people in the Dakotas in your area that listen to this show and support this show, and I just want to take this opportunity to tell them that I know that, and I appreciate that very much. I really appreciate the support that we get in that area.
Yeah, and again, it goes to show, like, the people around here. I mean, they love basketball, and they're always tuning in, and they show a lot of support for our home games as well, and I think just in general that you do just a really, really good job, and the NAIA following that you have, and it's just, I mean, the support that you give us, and not only us but a lot of NAIA teams, just, I mean, it's unbelievable, and we really appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. Those words mean a lot. I love small college basketball. There's just something about it. Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me for the third time, taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, and again, I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you.
Well, good luck on the 11th. I know I'll be tuned in. I encourage everybody, tune into that game. It's going to be a good game. It's very easy to watch. If you haven't seen Newman Arena where the Jamestown plays, you'll be envious once you see it. So, Coach Neville, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, last thing too is one of these days we got to get you out here so you can see it in person.
Oh, definitely. That's on my bucket list for sure, Coach.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.